world is a simulation, so you don't need to fear anything. You don't need to stress out about anything. And you don't need to be resentful, or you don't need to be vengeful in your world, because everything is you pushed out. Everything that you consent to being true of your world is happening to you right now. And if you are vengeful and spiteful and you're holding on to traumas from the past, not knowing that these things are actually happening to you for your benefit, then you are only staying in that world, okay? And as you begin to let go of any resentment or vengefulness or spitefulness or hatred, you will start to become magnetic, and you will start drawing some really amazing things to start coming into your life. You start changing the methods of your mindset. The mindset that you've been programmed with now, you need to release that, because the world is a simulation. Everything is coming from your own imagination and everything that you consent to being true. So as soon as you start changing your mindset and your assumptions and your states of consciousness, your world has to change with that. And that's something that I realized when I was away for so long. 8.5 years I was away reprogramming my mind. But now that you have communities and you have coaching and you have channels that I didn't have when I was, transitioning and reinventing myself, you have these things that it's not going to take you 8.5 years to get to that level. The level where you realize that you can have whatever you want, and you start letting go of anything that's ever happened to you, because none of that matters. And remember, do not fixate your attention on things that you cannot change either. So if you're holding on to anything in the past that you're in total regret of, like you feel bad or you feel guilty about, and you're regretting something that you had done in the past, let that go right now. There's nothing that you can do except grow from the wisdom from it. And that's actually, that equals forgiveness from the Bible symbolically, is when you can say to yourself truly that if you had that opportunity to do it again, you wouldn't do it that way, then you're ultimately forgiven and you've shifted realities in that moment. So remember this as you're going through your day. Everything that you're doing it the best way possible in a high mindset, in the mindset of being magnetic and free from spite and revenge and hatred, any of those things. You're in a higher level of being. And when you become this new version of yourself and keep creating these temporary states of consciousness, they will eventually turn into a permanent state of consciousness, and you're going to transfer. Your entire world is going to change. Because as your awareness starts increasing through these higher states of consciousness, your world starts reflecting, or you start to just see the things that were actually already there, because creation is finished. You can actually see the things that were already waiting for you. Everything that you desire, like the world that you want, is actually right in front of you right now. Everything is in the same place. Nothing is moving, nothing is changing. It's all created and it's right in front of you right now. You're just not in the awareness or the state of consciousness in order to experience that in your reality. Okay, that's the best way that I can put it. But as soon as you can shift into this higher state of consciousness and get out of those low frequencies and shift into this permanent state, you will then become aware and be able to experience everything that you desire happening to your world. And this transitional part of this comes from focus and present moment awareness and meditation, and also being grateful for your world, and just shifting and catching yourself when it starts going to these other places. When you start catching your mind from thinking about negativity, thinking about regret, thinking that you should have done things differently, or this person did this to you 5 years ago and you're still stuck on that. Those are the things that you have to start catching yourself and start redirecting your focus and realizing and saying this to yourself: there's nothing that I can do to change that now. Only thing I can do with that is to grow from it, to get smarter from it, to improve from it. Because everything in your world that's happening to you, all obstacles, conditions, and experiences are happening for your benefit. And if you change your mindset to see it that way, that's when it starts to materialize. All the new things start coming into your world based on this idea and this new mindset that you've created, which ultimately changes your states of consciousness, and then your assumptions change, and then everything you consent to being true changes, and your world has to change because you're now in a different state of awareness, and you're now experiencing and seeing the things that you've always wanted to experience and see in your world. Everything is right in front of you right now. Everything that you desire, anything that you want, everything that you've ever wanted. Like right now, ask yourself this question: how would I feel right now if I had everything that I desired? Okay? And whatever that is, whatever your imagination does in that moment is actually right in front of you right now. It's actually here with you, presently. You just can't experience it yet until you get into that permanent state of feeling that or falling asleep with that. And that's really the secret and the key to manifestation. And I want to go over this stuff, somewhat in repetition or repeat it, all the time, because I want to impress this into your subconscious and change your mindset about all of this. But remember, ultimately, your world is a simulation, and you don't need to stress, you don't need to worry, you don't need to fear. Your life is amazing. The world is amazing. Life, the experience of life is amazing. And you can create any world that you want. You can experience anything that you want to come to you and manifest into your world. Because you're not creating anything. Creation is finished. You're only manifesting different portions of what's already created. Everything is here already. Everything is here. And start letting go of everything that you're holding on to that is not assisting your growth and taking you to that next level, okay? Start looking back and start catching yourself. And all these things that you're holding on to, let go of those things. And that's one thing that I had to learn to do in prison, because I had so many regrets. I felt so guilty about so many different things that I was doing. And that's ultimately what put me in prison, was feeling and thinking that way and holding myself. And instead of repositioning my mindset and focusing on the future, I was stuck in regret and hatred towards myself and my world. I didn't love my world. I was in one of the lowest frequencies you could be in. So when I reinvented myself, I started catching myself doing this. And I started refocusing my attention through visualization, reading Neville Goddard's books, everything my grandfather taught me, redirecting my focus and my visualization and start seeing the future as I wanted to see it in the present moment. And this changed everything. This changed everything with my mindset. And I started growing and growing and growing and growing. And eventually those temporary states of consciousness I was creating from catching myself eventually turned into a permanent state. And then that permanent state is now who you see today, creating all these different things and creating the life of my dreams after being out of prison for just 2.5 years. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I'm going to continue to grow and be present during the growth and not chase too much. But because I want to enjoy every moment of my life, and I want to assist as many people as I can as well. So that I'm finding that happy median in between without being super crazy. Because I could be a lot further than I am now, but I'm very careful about the things that I wish for, because of the things that I visualize. Because when you create a permanent state of consciousness, you don't remember really who you were before that. You're now a different state. You're a different state of mind, contained in the one and only mind, which is consciousness. So I'm very careful about what I visualize, and that's something that my grandfather taught me. And that really stuck in my mind. Be careful what you wish for, because you're just going to get it. Be careful what you visualize, because you're going to get it if you do it properly. And you're going to lose sight of the person that you were before that. You're going to be somebody completely different in the same form, but you're going to be completely different with your mindset, things that you're creating. You're going to be, if you fall asleep as a person that's always chasing, but very successful and abundant, but not happy, and always chasing, and not being present enough to actually enjoy the process of the entire thing. That's something that I'm not trying to create. So keep all of this in mind as you're redirecting your mindset and you're becoming successful and abundant. And if you follow the techniques that I teach, especially within my school community, and you have accountability partners, and you're watching the live events that I do, and you're following the course, you are absolutely 100% going to get to the level of manifesting the world of your dreams. And you're not even going to know what the word debt means anymore. Once you get to a certain level with your mindset, you start practicing this stuff. I want to make a video just to tell you to let go, stop fearing, let go of the fear, let go of the anxiety, let go of all the past traumas and the regret and the guilt, and move forward with the vision of your future as if it's happening to you right now in the present moment. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.